the hardest day we had that week, which part of me, this was one that part of me wonders if it was a mistake to do this. And I guess with our mission of curiosity and following, like seeing something that we're curious about and following it, there's going to be times where we get ourselves into trouble or we get ourselves into a bad situation. I think that just means we're going to have to be a little more cautious in the future. I'll have people let me know their thoughts in the comments below if you watch this, but I let people know that if you don't want to tune in for this, like, I understand, because it's going to be a lot. We decided to do a debate about the red pill. I'm also running a poll on both YouTube and Patreon right now if you guys want to see me break down whether or not the red pill is a cult, because I'm actually kind of trying to explore that right now. But right now I'm just going to give a little bit of a reflection on the red pill discussion and how that went. So the reason that I even had red pillars on my radar in the first place was that my friend Emma Thorne, who's in the anti-MLM community, had put up a video kind of debunking some of the, like, I don't know if it was red pill specifically or a men's rights activist claims and things like that. And red pill, just to be clear, the red pill movement and the men's rights movement, they have a lot of crossover, but they're all a little bit different, which I'll get into. So she was doing that, right? And then there were two very prominent voices in the red pill community who have a channel with 100,000 subscribers that did a reaction to her. And she started getting a lot of harassment from that, so I reached out and asked her if she was comfortable with it first, and it's still on my channel, I'll link it up in the cards. I did a video reacting to their reaction and kind of critiquing a lot of the points that they were making because of how they weren't really relevant or didn't make a lot of sense and things like that. So I did a video about that. And from that, one of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel actually followed me on Twitter and sent me a message that was like, hey, I saw your video responding to me. I actually appreciate that you took it from, such kind of a idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attacks. And I was like, yeah, of course, that's what my channel and the Your Morning Guru channel, that's what it's all about. I think we talked and he was like, if you ever want to come on our show and debate this, we can, and things like that. So I had said to him, we're actually doing a Change My Mind week, so we could potentially talk about this and actually do this debate with each other, since we've done the same thing basically over text. So we decided to do that. It was 4 hours long, and was there any progress made? I think there were a lot of things learned about where certain thoughts come from or where certain practices come from and things like that. They did not change my mind in thinking that the red pill is a beneficial way of behaving or a beneficial set of behaviors or a beneficial community or anything like that. No, because seeing how a lot of people behave, I think that it's almost like someone said this to me recently, it's hard to convince people that you should care about other people. So, like, for example, if I said, I'm happy to discuss any of these ideas with you, but if you could do it without using slurs, I would appreciate it, not because I don't want to discuss things with you or I want to tone police you, but because when you make people in the chat uncomfortable, it starts to build a barrier and makes it harder for them to want to engage with you on good faith. And then they would be like, see, that's the thing, women just want to tone police. And like, it would get a little bit like talking in circles to an extent. It was kind of difficult. I just want to, again, I did this the next morning on our show after this happened. I said this the next morning. I just want to give a million thank yous to the people in the audience who were there sharing their opinion, especially people from my audience, because a lot of their audience came to watch as well. So there were actually a lot of arguments going on in the comments. And so I appreciate a lot my viewers who were taking on those ideas as well. That's kind of what we're all about on that channel, but it's not always easy. And so I really appreciate that. And I just want to say to the viewers who are like, I don't want to watch this. This is a little too much for me. This is stressful. That is more than reasonable, and I do not have any problem with that. I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess, and I still have a part of me that's like, I kind of regret doing this just because I regret, like, the people that did want to watch, I regret putting that stress on them, and I feel bad. So if anyone in my audience who watched that debate is like, Savvy, this debate stressed me the fuck out, and I want to yell at you about that, like, please DM me and yell at me about it, and I will apologize to you personally, because I feel really bad about that. And I think that it was kind of a learning experience as well as a lesson in when does it become too far to engage with ideas that are so different from yours? Is there a point where you have to say, this idea is so different that even just talking to someone about it is going to be a problem? Which as I've told you guys, I'm very idealistic. I'm very, I take people directly at their word of what they say to me. It's an OCD trait as well as just like my own perspective on the world, that I tend to, like, when people say something to me, I'm like assuming that that's what they mean. I've always kind of held the viewpoint, I hadn't run into this before, because I've always held the viewpoint that yes, every idea can be engaged with. And I might be wrong about that. And I think that's part of this show, is finding out places where we're wrong and being willing to admit that. I think it was a learning experience that we did it. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not. But there's a part of me that's like, did I learn something about, was this just too outside the scope of what's normal to me? Or is it important to engage with it? See, this is the part I'm still conflicted on, because I'm like, was it a good thing that I had this discussion? Because now me as a feminist and my mostly feminist audience is more aware of where these ideas specifically come from. Like, it's very easy to say the ideas come from just like angry hormonal men who want to oppress people, or the ideas come from patriarchy and male supremacy. Like, yes, you can say those things, and yes, those are true to an extent, but they're also not telling the full story. Like, there's more detailed things that I think if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? Or do we not need to take it down? Is it a fringe enough group of people that it doesn't pose a real threat to society as a whole? I want you guys to let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I'm trying to decide if I should make a video on whether the red pill is a cult, because I don't know if I need to get, if it's like, if I now, after having had that conversation with them, if I now have the responsibility of having to share my thoughts and my research on why I think they're a cult, or if I should just let it go because I don't really like their fans. Part of me is like, it's good that their fans know about me because I want everyone to see alternate perspectives, but at the same time, there's only so much of comments I can take that are like, in a better society, natural selection should have eliminated you already, and things like that I can take before it becomes like just such a distraction from the actual type of book and business commentary videos that I'm trying to work on. Please let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. That was a very long-winded way of saying everything.